All right. Welcome to the Village Lake Bluff Joint Plan Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting on April 15th, 2026. If we could have a roll call, please.
Sure. Member Berry.
Present.
Member Danley.
Here.
Member Fisher.
Here.
Member Miller.
Here.
Member Russell.
Here.
Member Toll.
Here.
And Chair Peters.
Here.
Everyone's here.
All right. We allocate 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting to address any issue that is not on the agenda. Anyone present that wishes to address the panel? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll go on to agenda item number 3. Consideration of the March 18, 2026 meeting minutes. Everybody's had a chance to review any proposed revisions or other corrections?
Yes. It appears that the comments were attributed to the wrong members. I know the comments first attributed to Member Russell were the comments that I made. I know Member Russell suggested that the comments that, well, we know that what he was attributed to were actually my comments, and then I believe maybe we should go to each member and verify the comments that each of us made.
This is on the bottom of page 3, Mike.
Okay.
Starting the first thing that says Member Russell, those are actually Member Toll's comments.
Okay.
And then the next paragraph, it says Member Fisher talking about IDOT, that was me.
Yeah, that's your stuff.
And then we'll throw it to the other side of the table. If Member Danley, were those your comments in the next paragraph?
I think
Or those
some of them were
Deb's?
mine.
Okay.
Mixed in.
Mine was right. All right, any other proposed changes or other revisions?
Well, just on page 2, like around the second paragraph, I think maybe originally they talked about 1 or 2 trips or 1 or 2 landings a month, but I think by the end we were talking about 4 to 8 takeoffs and landings for the helipad.
Okay.
So,
4 to 8 per month versus one or two a month.
right.
Good, thank you. Anything else?
And on page 5, Mike, the vote count there in the middle of the page. It says 5, but there's 6 people listed, so.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Missed that one.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 4. Mr. Crook, if you want to. Oh, motion approved. Yeah, thank you.
Move to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, agenda item number 4. Mr. Crook, if you can introduce that, please.
Sure. So 551 East Prospect Avenue. The 2 adjacent properties shared a detached garage that straddled the property line for many years. That was torn down last year because it was deteriorating. And the neighbor on the west side built a new detached garage off the alley, which is a bit of a walk from his house. And these applicants at 551 East Prospect on the east side of the property line are proposing to build a carport alongside their house near the side door that would be 5 inches from the property line. And that's all I've got. So side yard setback variance.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Crook. I guess before we proceed, anyone who wants to address the panel tonight, if you could stand, raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Okay. Please be seated, but for the petitioner. All right. Yeah, petitioner can proceed. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, can I make a comment before we proceed on this?
Certainly.
I just want, in full transparency, to disclose a previous relationship with the applicant. Our kids do go to the same school and are friends. We have been at similar social events, and our wives are friends as well. I don't think this creates any sort of conflict for me. I believe I can remain objective. And as a longtime village president told me once, if we had to step out of any conversations that we had with about our neighbors and friends, then there wouldn't be anybody sitting up here to make decisions. So just wanted to put that out there for full disclosure.
No, appreciate the transparency. Thank you. If you could state your name for the record and your address, please, and then proceed.
Sure. My name is Victor Liu. My company is Jeremy Liu and Associates. I am the architect for the Elliott residence and Mr. Riddle residence. Other question was?
Oh.
Name?
Name and firm or name and address, we're fine.
Okay, that's 3000 Dundee Road, Suite 320 in Northbrook. The case is, as Mr. Koch explained, there was a structure that shared the property line, and it was a garage that was accessible from the drive as a tandem, accessible by each property. That was taken down before I got involved in the project, but Mr. and Mrs. Elliott and Riddle wanted to provide a carport structure for the purpose of just having one bay, roofed bay for their vehicle. And it was important to them to maintain the streetscape and not encumber the light plane, the openness, and not affect the bulk. So it is a structure as a carport that's supported by 4 columns on each end. It is about 19 feet by 12 and a half feet in size. And this structure is also farther back from the front property line than it was, than the original garage was. And the original garage, I've seen photos, and it was a gabled roof, and it had 2 separate overhead doors, walls on all 4 sides. So since they've both agreed to remove it, and the neighbor has, I don't know what provisions he's made for his car parking. Mr. Riddle can elaborate on that if that's relevant to you. But they have sort of put a fence between the 2 properties, and more importantly, one of the reasons they set the carport behind or farther away from the front property line than the original garage is because we wanted to have a normal bay for one vehicle. So we established about 12 and a half feet in width overall. So it's about 11 and a half feet between the columns. And the nearest portion of the house to the west property line is 11 and a half, or my bad, excuse me, 11 and a half feet from the west property line. So that structure wouldn't have been able to fit within that setback or that space. So this is just an enlarged diagram of that carport. This is a 1/2-inch scale, but this is the front corner, or the corner or the edge of the existing house. That's the property line. The structure, the original garage was up front. We pushed it back, and now we've maintained a 5-foot clearance at least from the house. And it's now as a detached structure. And we're asking for a 5-inch setback on the west property line. And this is, just give you a visual, this is the space between the 2 homes. The original garage was at about this point. The owners are proposing to put the new carport behind this corner where it opens up and it gives them a little more width. The property line is between these 2 driveways. Lastly, they have a letter from a neighbor, at least one neighbor. They have a lot of support, but they have a letter from a neighbor who's fully in support of it, and more importantly, their neighbor that they used to share the garage with is fully in support of this.
I wonder, Mr. Liu, if you could go through the standards for variation just real quickly, please.
As far as the hardship or their difficulty, as this was part of what I just went over, the distance between the house and the west line is 11.99 feet wall to line, and the smallest practical width for a vehicle would be 6.25 feet, let's say 6'3" for an actual vehicle, plus the door swings. We determined that 11.5 feet or 12 feet for the structure is appropriate for a single car bay. As far as the unique physical condition, it is just it's an unusually narrow side yard, and that's sort of the pre-existing non-conforming conditions of the original house and detached garage. As far as it being, whether it is a special privilege, the special privilege is there is no special privilege, but what they're asking for is a structure, and going back to the bulk, they are not increasing bulk as far as visual, light, and mass compared to the original structure the original garage structure that was there. Their goal is to create a more open configuration that reduces the bulk. And then code purposes, they are the exception of the variance request today for the 5-inch setback from the west property line. They're maintaining the streetscape, maximum height, floor area ratio is well within maximum allowable. And lastly, as far as public health and safety, going back to the bulk, they're not impairing light, bulk, visibility, and fire safety. We're maintaining the distance from the house, which is applicable per code as a detached structure. And as I mentioned before, the house is also, or the garage is set back farther from the street than it was originally, than the original garage was positioned.
And before I open it up for general questioning, describe the roof for me.
It is a flat roof. Everything, there's a 1/8 of an inch per foot pitch where everything will drain to one side toward the rear, and it'll discharge on the existing, on their own existing property, directed toward the rear.
Thank you. Who'd like to start?
I just have a question. Question would be, it's unusual, the parking, the house to the west put their garage back, and I don't know if it's called Park Lane or, there's almost like an alleyway back there that a lot of them are now building garages and structures back there. Was that considered an option, or would you be allowed to do that on your property or not? And then the second question is, did you consider a garage door enclosure versus the carport? I just was curious what the reason was to do a carport versus a garage. And also, would you have been able to put the space in the back of your property?
Would you like to? Okay.
Yeah, if you could just state your name for the record and your address, Mr. Riddle.
Yeah, so I'm David Riddle, the homeowner at 551 East Prospect. We've actually had the Lou brothers propose a garage in the back, and that's a possibility. We're still thinking about it. It would take up a lot of yard space, and it still means, maybe trudging through right now it would be, trudging through the grass, carrying grocery bags and whatnot. We think the carport is a really good everyday solution. Even our neighbors who built the garage there, they still have a little drive that just, doesn't have a carport, just so they can pull their car in. We picture this as kind of being the main way that we, probably, do most of our in and outs. The reason we went carport instead of garage, we like the idea of it being open. We have a door kind of immediately as you get out of the carport, and you could just kind of go right into the house. And given the narrowness, just with a SUV, something more open, more less restrictive seemed to make sense. So that's why we were leaning towards carport. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Berry?
I have no questions.
All right. Ms. Frederick?
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever encountered that two families sharing a garage, so that was kind of a new one for me.
Yeah, and I'll just speak to that. It was a very interesting situation. We didn't even realize, when we started looking at the house, this was what they did. Apparently, when they built the garage in the 30s or something, they owned the house next door, and it was like their children or something. So they built
So it was
this
a compound or something.
shared garage, and and no one was really using it. No one was using it as a garage anymore. It was, kind of far too narrow, and it was in disrepair. So that's kind of what led to it getting torn down and this whole situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is future plans to put a garage in the back?
Like I said, we've had a design built. We've still, my wife and I are still discussing whether we want to take up that much yard real estate, and so we're sort of on the fence. I want one. She kind of doesn't. We had a 2-car one designed. It seems a little big. Maybe we'll do a 1-car one down the road. We're still very much up in the air on whether that ever happens.
So if you built a garage back there, the garage doors would face the alleyway, and the back of the garage would face your house?
Yeah. As designed right now, right. Yeah, the garage doors would face the alleyway. Our neighbor kind of pulls straight in via the alley. It'd be like a turn in. Yeah, garage doors facing out like towards the neighbor in the back, and we would maybe put a little walkway to the house if that ever happens.
Interesting. And they don't mind you having the carport? Obviously not. They gave you a letter.
Yeah, they're very much on board. They, the details are they've given us like a 3-foot encroachment or something so that I don't quite know how it all plays in, but they were trying to kind of allow us to say, please take as much as you need to. They cut the drive in half, and they've left like a certain portion of the asphalt, and then they've said like, you have freedom to. The roof can hang over, and like you can, something like 3 feet of the land is can be drove over so that in case some other neighbor ever buys the house, there won't be any issues around this whole situation. So I think we tried to. We talked to like the real estate lawyer and whatnot to make it all so that it was wouldn't cause any those kind of issues later on down the road.
Do you need to put that? Did you have that in writing?
Yes. Yes. Are you?
I think it's
okay.
It's that 1.89 piece of asphalt he left intentionally for you to occupy it, which is an extension of your existing driveway, but the property line runs through that.
So when a surveyor comes, it goes.
Yeah. That's all been professionally surveyed and signed by lawyers, and that's all hard documented.
George.
So, Mr. Roll, you did say, just to be clear, because that was going to be one of my questions, because I noticed the driveway was left 2 feet onto the neighbors.
Right.
You've got a written easement in place now, because the village zoning board cannot give you approval to, I'm assuming the driveway might need to be resurfaced after all this construction, cement.
Right, I guess
trucks
you're right, 2 feet
we
of
can't give you
asphalt.
approval to put any part of your driveway on the neighboring lot And you would have to have a written easement.
Yes, I guess
And
maybe
you should,
two feet of asphalt and 1 foot of grass or something. Yeah, and it's completely signed and done. It's, yeah, I mean, that was handled before anything else happened on the takedown of the garage and before these, we had anything designed. Yeah.
Okay, then,
And I mean, I hope if it's not, in that documentation, we can.
no, it's
certainly
not
get those.
clarified at all in here. I
Okay.
mean, it shows that it's over, but,
Okay,
I mean, that's a private agreement, I think, between,
Okay.
unless the village attorney wants to chime in, between you and the neighbor, but you should have a written easement
right,
to allow that to move forward,
yeah.
The
especially.
garage
if
or the carport will be entirely on their property.
Yes, yes. Question about the carport itself. On rendering A3, it looks like the west wall is going to be some sort of open fence, or did you just depict the car behind there?
No, that is a fence. I think I established it in 5 or 6.
So it's an open fence?
It's a not a batten board, but it is an open fence, yes. And it's vertical planks, probably with a 1/4 inch between the vertical.
And the
planks.
neighbors are aware of that type of plan? Because I noticed in your wall section, you call out new siding with plywood on the wall, but yet your sheet
I
A2,
think that might have been a technical terminology that got carried over, but this.
okay, so it
the
is going to
intention-
be this fence with the gaps in it like you've depicted on A3? Okay,
It will be wood.
all right. And then just one other question. I noticed, and this relates to the easement situation, the survey that you turned in indicates that your lot actually goes all the way through what is depicted as the alley. Did you grant an easement to your neighbor across your land?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good,
I mean,
okay. So you kind
previously-
of have cross easements per
Yes,
se?
yeah, it was just dirt, and they kind of talked about, hey, it'd be cool if we had a garage. That's where we started talking about it. We worked it all out. We granted them the easement, so that's all
Okay,
paved,
so you-
paved now. But yeah,
You and your neighbor have been talking about this for quite some time, and
Yes.
you've, essentially, you're trading an easement for some of your rear land, and they're giving granting an easement for some, okay, that
Yeah.
makes much more sense now. So, and then that's the question about putting the garage in the back, then they'd have to probably put it 25 feet from your rear property line, in order to get out of the the easement area, for them to access their new two-car garage back there.
we would have to put it 25 feet from our property line?
North of your property line, because your property line is
This
at the south,
dedicated area, so you
south
can
edge
drive
of the
through there.
alley,
Your garage would be.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
so. And I think that's all I had. I'm not, because of the very unique situation of maybe a 90-year-old garage that was straddling the property line, and I'm personally like the idea of a carport versus a garage, because I think it's less obtrusive. There's always been cars parked there, as you said, you weren't using it as a garage, neither one of you. That backyard is beautiful. It's very deep. You have a 220-foot deep lot. You have a long walk, a lot of extra pavement would go in. I know that's very wet back there.
Yeah.
It would, really wouldn't be good for the land to build a garage all the way in the back. So I'm, unless I hear something from the public, I'm leaning towards voting in favor, recommending in favor of this. That's all.
Thank you, Member Russell. Member Tom.
So in our first house in Lake Bluff, we actually used a garage that was actually built on village property. And so I'm very familiar with unique garage issues. That garage was in really rough shape, and we would have gone through a long process in order to rebuild it. So, so again, I'm very familiar with garage issues. In this case, it's a historic house, a narrow lot, setbacks already that are pretty small, and when these houses were built, they were not built with our modern living standards of expectations. And so the big issue for me is, how does this affect the neighbors? And whenever I look at granting either a recommendation for a variance or the variance itself, the big thing is how does it directly affect the most impacted neighbor? And in this case, obviously, it's the neighbor to the west. It sounds like they have a really good relationship with the applicant, and in fact have voiced support of this carport. So because of that, I don't have an objection to the project. I do really appreciate George's comments on trying to avoid a garage in the rear part of that lot. I think as far as impervious surface goes, the carport is probably the least burdensome as far with regard to impervious surface. So I guess for those two reasons, I would vote to recommend.
Thank you, Member Toll.
One more question?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe two questions. So with the carport, will you have another car that will park not in the carport, kind of in the driveway, or?
Yeah.
Just trying to get
Yeah,
the vision.
we have two cars,
Okay.
and yeah, the driveway's long enough to put, you could fit 3 cars in the driveway if you needed to, so, yeah, we'll probably, play a little bit of shuffle here and there.
Right.
Yeah, that's our plan.
Okay, and then garbage cans and things like that that are usually in garages, they'll be somehow not bothersome to the neighbor and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, right now, we kind of tuck them away. There's a side, on the side of the house, it's kind of set back a little bit. They'll stay in the same spot.
Okay, that's my only question. I'm in favor too.
Yeah, just a couple questions, Mr. Riddle. When I look at your submission and the photo that was attached, the color photo, so that showed the former garage tucked away back there.
That's right,
Yes.
yeah. I got that off Google Maps
Okay.
from before they tore the garage down.
And then the proposed carport's gonna be tucked further back.
Yeah, just a little bit further back, not, a whole lot, but, right, it is, I think, a few feet extra back than what the existing garage was.
There's that tree we are working on, the existing one.
Yeah, there's a tree there, so we can't go back. And we'd like to keep the big pine tree. We had someone come out and look at it and decide that it was probably worth keeping. So that was another option of, we tried to play around with, could we push this carport, really far back and out of the way, to avoid any kind of the zoning issues, but we're trying to keep this big pine, so it goes back just a little bit, but yeah.
And then, what's the height of the roof line, or?
8'10".
I was just thinking more from an aesthetics perspective, but as I read it, you're gonna be about 80 feet back from the sidewalk? Maybe not that far.
We are from the sidewalk, so we're 46 feet from the property line. And yes, I think you're right on.
Okay.
Looks like there's another 30 feet or so to the sidewalk.
All right. Yeah, when I started working through the paperwork and when I drove by tonight, initially I had trepidation, a very, very unique petition, but I think after hearing the commissioner's comments or the testimony that you've elicited, or they've elicited, I'm disposed to moving, or to, joining in a possible majority on that, so thank you very much. Any further discussion from the panel?
Just one comment. If we do vote to recommend approval, and then you have to go to the village board, I'd recommend in your presentation to the village board that you definitely talk about the fact that you've been working with your neighbor for a year. I mean, you gave up 25% of your rear yard so your neighbor could have access to a driveway. I mean, that was a huge give on your part. And that's important. It didn't sound like you were even going to mention that to us. It only came out in questioning.
Okay, yeah.
So I would recommend that you definitely state that in
Okay.
your presentation to the
Yeah.
board. It's important. It's very important in my
Sure,
mind.
sure.
Extremely important.
That makes sense, yeah.
So, okay.
No, excellent point, Member Russell. Any further questions or further discussion?
Are the people from the public here for this item? You want to ask?
Mark?
Did you want to ask if the people in the audience were here from this item?
Yeah,
Or are they
I think,
something else?
do you want to contribute, ask any questions, or you? All right.
Given the technical difficulties tonight, I'm just making sure that
We'll
there's
make
two
sure we're-
persons on the Zoom call. I'm just making, I've asked them through text message if they want to make comment. I just don't want to miss any. Bear with me a second. No one has raised their hand?
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion, please? And we're a recommending body in this particular petition.
I move to recommend approval of the requested relief in the form of the attached approval order.
Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, if we could have a vote, Mr. Crook.
Sure. Member Toll?
Aye.
Member Russell?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
Member Fisher?
Aye.
Member Danley?
Aye.
Member Barry?
Yes.
And Chair Peters?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next steps, Mr. Crook.
So we'll get it on the agenda for the village board meeting.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, yeah,
Sure.
thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Agenda item number 5, if you could introduce that, please.
Sure. So at 150 Skokie Highway, there's been a Jaguar dealership for quite a few years. And they've left, and the Fields Group is planning to open a Land Rover service center to service Land Rover vehicles. That is a special use in the L1 and L2 zoning districts. And so when the Jaguar originally went in, they did a use variation, which is not a procedure we follow today. Today we do the special uses. So they are requesting a special use permit, and they're not really planning any physical changes to the site other than signs, which would go to the ABR for approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Croak. If you could state your name or names for the record, please,
Sure.
and your address.
My name's Sherman Polinsky, 2100 Frontage Road in Glencoe is my office address. And I'm with Rocky Ellie. Rocky is our regional vice president, and I am general counsel for Fields Auto Group.
All right, thank you. Who would like to proceed?
I'll go ahead. Fields Auto Group is started in the North Shore of Chicago and has since grown to 38 dealerships in 5 states. It's still a family-owned business, a family-run business. 2 members of the Fields family still have homes in Lake Forest, and many of us at the corporate level also consider the North Shore home. We, as part of the transaction to acquire the former Jaguar property, we are also acquiring the Land Rover franchise from Knaus. And as part of, in conjunction with the manufacturer to consolidate Land Rover and Jaguar points, we'll be opening up a Land Rover service center, but the Land Rover sales operation will merge with our Northfield Jaguar Land Rover store. Similar to what we had previously purchased, the Imperial Jaguar franchise, and merged that with our Northfield store as well. We're here for a special use permit for the property at 150 Skokie Highway for a vehicle repair facility. And currently, we don't have any plans to make any modifications to the property other than some signage. We don't have the manufacturer's requirements for permanent signage yet, so we will be for approval, we'll be submitting some temporary signage, just so that customers are aware of the new facility and the change of ownership.
Thank you. And we'll adopt and incorporate by reference the standards for special use that you submitted to the village. Who'd like to start?
I just have a point of curiosity, assuming you do receive approval for the special use, what's the time frame that you'd be opening?
Assuming that after we go to the village board, and if we are granted approval and a second reading is waived, we would anticipate closing on the acquisition on Friday, May 1st, and opening for business on Monday, May 4th.
Thank you.
Quick. Do you plan on making new cars in the,
No,
at all?
No.
Nothing, no plans? Selling used cars?
we were considering selling used cars, but that's not part of our application today. We may seek approval for that down the road.
Would that require another special use, or does it get transferred over because it was a?
We
car
included
dealership?
that in the ordinance. Used
they-
car sales is included in the ordinance in your
Gotcha.
packet.
So that, yeah, that's, was going to be one of my questions, because it wasn't clear. You were very inconsistent in your write-up on whether or not the used car sales was going to happen now or in the future, and whether or not the ordinance is approving it now. The ordinance is drafted, do they have to come back to us if they decide to start selling used cars?
No, that was the purpose of including it.
Okay, well, that's, I was going to
I
recommend.
apologize that.
Okay, so you are seeking approval.
We are seeking approval, but our intent is not to start with used cars immediately.
Okay. And then Elliot, were you done? Because I kind of
Yes,
jumped
that's
on your
fine. Go
question.
for it.
Then, just for my clarification, is Fields Auto Group just Land Rover?
No, we have locally in Northfield and Glencoe, we have Volvo, BMW, Mini Cooper, Jaguar Land Rover. We have a Chrysler Jeep Dodge store in Glenview. In the city and Downers Grove, we have Rolls-Royce, Lamborghini. What am I missing? Lexus in Glenview.
Bentley and Bugatti.
Bentley and Bugatti, so those are all the ones in Illinois. And then we carry some other brands outside of Illinois.
Quick question, do you plan on using any helicopters to go from?
Absolutely not. I was anticipating that.
The ordinance that was approved 25 years ago for the Jaguar dealership included several very specific conditions that were important to the village and also at the time important to IDOT. And one of them was no cut-through traffic is permitted. Someone can't drive down Sherwood Terrace, North Shore Drive, cut through your dealership and get out onto 41 because that entrance and exit ramps there aren't designed for high-volume traffic. You're apparently going to keep the layout exactly the same, which, without going through the building, the service center, and pulling a U-turn, you can't make that maneuver now. I was going to make the recommendation that that provision be spelled out in the ordinance because I think it's important. I don't want to see cut-through traffic. With the removal of one little island, you could convert that to cut-through traffic, and I want to make sure you're on board with that.
No, we absolutely are. We absolutely are. We would keep that configuration the same.
Okay. And then another, and it's more a pet peeve of mine, and pardon me if you own one of the dealerships down in Highland Park on Highway 41, but there's an extremely dangerous practice that goes on all the time down there because the dealership sites are so tight. Car carriers offload on the shoulders, right next to the highway. I don't know why it's tolerated, but it is, but I don't think the village of Lake Bluff should tolerate it at all. And I would like to make that a condition, a specific condition of our permit, that all of your material deliveries, all of your car deliveries, if you go to used cars, absolutely, the trucks cannot stop on the shoulder of Highway 41. think the speeds are even higher up here. You're coming around a right-hand turn, the shoulder's kind of blind, you're coming up, you haven't been up on the top of the hill that long. I want to make that a condition of the approval also, specifically spelled out that you've got to work with all of your suppliers, all of your delivery people, and not allow that to happen.
Yeah,
It's dangerous.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and we wouldn't have a problem with that being part of the ordinance.
And then the last thing, and this is a much smaller item, but the way the ordinance is drafted now, there's no specific reference to maintaining the screening or the exterior dumpsters where they are. I'm assuming there is a nice screened dumpster facility outside now.
We
you
would
would-
continue to maintain that.
If not, you'd have to come back to the architectural board review.
Yes.
And then the same thing with language about preserving the landscaping that's there. You have to maintain that. So those are the three conditions I would want to recommend adding to the approval recommendation if fellow members are on board with that.
Okay. And we wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
Okay.
In hearing your recommendations, I realized I forgot to mention there is a staff recommendation for a change to the ordinance. We realized at the last minute before the meeting that section 6 is more restrictive than a recent change to the ordinance regarding transferability, and we'd like to revise that to allow it to be transferable in the future as per our more recent amendments that we approved the other night.
Transferable going forward.
Going forward to future owners, yeah, so we don't have to make people come back every time ownership changes.
And can I ask then, is the reason that this has to come back because it was written in a different way back 25 years ago when it was created?
That's right.
Okay, because otherwise it could have potentially been transferred.
Right.
Correct,
That's
okay.
right.
But that was going to be my other question on the transferability. so,
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Member Berry? Nothing significant. I thought you did a good job in your narrative explaining I'm always slipping my mind on the words I'm trying to choose. The standards. It was very helpful to me. So are you guys going to continue to operate the dealership across the street?
No.
No. Will that be part of Canals, or will that be?
That will remain part of Knaus.
Oh, okay.
We're not purchasing the property, and the Knaus Group actually has plans for that property as well.
I have no other questions.
A helipad.
Hopefully not.
Actually, it wouldn't be a bad place.
Member Danley?
I don't know if I have much to add, other than, L1 district, we're encouraging, right? This is a perfect solution and a product in the L1 district, so I don't have any objections. I have not seen, and I bet probably tomorrow I will, the trucks that are unloading on the side of the roads. That's a big concern as well. So I would agree with everything that Commissioner Russell mentioned about adding to your recommendation, and if that's the case, I would approve it.
I would like to add to it. I agree with those same conditions. I think those are great ideas.
Right.
Yeah, really, I have no additional questions or comments. I think we're very, very pleased that you're looking forward to, I assume, becoming a member of the Lake Bluff commercial community, so to speak. And I think we covered a lot of ground in the presentation and then with the questions.
Back online.
Back online.
I got internet.
Any other questions?
So
Any other
just to
comments?
clarify, if it becomes a new car dealership, does that get carried over as well?
No, I
Just
think they'd
used.
have to come back for a special use permit for that because we didn't put it in the ordinance.
But should we?
Well,
I mean, what difference does it make whether you're selling a used car or a new car?
that's a good point.
I mean, if we could have it new, used, and serviced, that would be.
Makes more sense than that coming back.
Right.
What do you think, George?
That sounds reasonable to me.
Any concern from the members?
No objection.
No?
It's a
For
continued
transferability, it's
use of
easier.
what's
Yeah.
been there for 20-plus years.
We want new cars sold in Lake Bluff, without question.
Yeah. Any further discussion?
So how, I guess, would that change, how much language in the ordinance would that change? Or would it just be an addition of
New and used?
new and used car sales?
Yeah, I think there's just a very few select places we'd have to change, so we can just say in the motion. Cars, new and used car sales and service, and we'll, find the places to modify the text accordingly.
Great.
Yeah.
And Mike, here's the 3 conditions, and Peter's crew can make them much improved written form than what I've scratched out there.
Okay.
So by adding those additional uses, you're essentially keeping it like a dealership, exactly like it was operating. It's just Land Rover only today in terms of the label, whatever brands you would sell in the future will be determined in the future.
One last question. Well, when it becomes Jaguar Land Rover, which it is, does it matter if we don't put Jaguar in there, or we should put it in the text as well?
The use in the zoning code is new automobile.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? No. Hearing none, and nobody from the public?
Nobody did? Sir? No, he's correct.
All right. Could we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve what's written here, plus the added-on text that George brought up, and I brought up, and
Mike brought up.
Mike brought up. Yeah.
We're a recommending body again, I believe, so. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, if we could have a vote, please.
Okay. Member Berry,
Yes.
Member Danley,
Aye.
Member Fisher. Member Miller,
Aye.
Member Russell.
Aye.
Member Toll.
Aye.
And Chair Peters.
Aye.
Okay, the recommendation passes.
Great. No.
We'll put you on the village board meeting for April 27th.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome.
Yeah, very exciting.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Agenda item number 6, staff report.
I don't have anything to report, but perhaps our 3 commissioners who attended have something to report under commissioners' report about that, how it was.
For me, anyway. Deb, I saw you were on there, and Mark was on there.
Yeah, it was probably good from me, as opposed to George has been doing this for forever, but a couple just simple, a couple things I took away that I thought.
Recording in progress.
That I thought was. Should I proceed?
Yeah. Bill, you created an echo. You have to mute a computer back there, please. Okay, go ahead. I think hopefully it's been corrected.
One of the things they mentioned that I thought was interesting, that every town has a different name for their planning commission, zoning board and all that, but one of the things they do is they actually take votes on whether or not they thought that the applicant met the standards. Then they vote on whether they approve. And they were just kind of driving home the importance of those standards. And that was a big takeaway for me as a new guy, not knowing what I'm doing. I was like, at least it gave me something to look for whenever. That's why I mentioned it a couple times tonight, is when I'm hearing their story, I want to know that at least the basics of the legal requirements have been met. And so I thought that was interesting, that some towns actually have a vote on the standards. And I guess that's it. We also have that statement in our applications that said under conditions, we can add conditions to certain applications, and it must have a rational nexus to the project. There was some discussion of that I thought that was an interesting. I've read it, and I still have yet to find a definition for that I can completely feel. It's a little hazy for me having it, and even going through that training. I wish they got into it a little bit more. But it was food for thought. It was just something that made me think a lot about the legal basis for what we do, and coming from my background, and I was looking for some rules to hang my hat on.
No, excellent points.
It was a useful thing for me.
I do have a question. I had heard a comment made near the end of that 2.5-hour long course. They briefly covered the Open Meetings Act. This was plan commissioner training or whatever, this seminar we were zoomed in on. And they covered the Open Meetings Act in about 5 minutes, very, very quickly. But one of the specific statements that they were talking about a quorum, and they specifically said that 2 members of a body cannot talk about an issue. And I actually typed in right away and said, I think the Open Meetings Act and the training specifically says 2 members, as long as the board is 5 or larger, can talk outside of a meeting.
Correct.
Am I mistaken about that?
It depends on the size of the body. So it's a majority of a quorum is a meeting. So on a 5-member body, a quorum is 3. So 2 has a problem, but there's exceptions in Open Meetings Act to allow, even on small bodies, 2 people to talk. But on a body like this, 2 can talk because that's below a majority of a quorum.
But 3 would be problematic.
Yeah, we have 7 members, right? Yep. Yep, same as the village board. Yep.
And they were very clear, and I've been through all this training 100 times. It's very clear about how that's by email, by text, by in person, over call. You know,
If it's relatively contemporaneous.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't send, we advise not doing this, but it doesn't mean, for example, Drew can't send the entire body something, information, something. The problem is if somebody replies to all right away, and then it starts to look like a conversation.
I've heard stories of boards and commissions getting in trouble for texting during a meeting.
Yeah, there's
So you get
a
that.
famous case about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I heard or got out of it was kudos to the staff, our staff, because a lot of the communities seem to be much less prepared for the meetings, you know, and not have the history and, you know, I mean, our packets are substantial and, you know, really give you the whole background because a lot of these things obviously have gone through the mill a few times. And some people, you know, sort of are flying blind. And I think that was one big question, that how do I find more information about a project, you know, and we're handed it. So that's marvelous, I think. And
I was surprised they didn't mention, one of the first things Mike told me when I got here was, I forget the name of it, that Lake County website that has all the maps and the layers you can put on. I pulled that up for every board meeting. That's been so helpful.
Oh, good.
I would have thought that they would have pointed people to that kind of a thing, because I think every county probably has something sort of like that. And Google Maps too has been very, very helpful.
Well, good.
Oh, I'm glad that 3 members attended, participated. That's great. Anything else from staff report?
No, nothing from me.
All right, commissioners report, agenda item number 7.
Question for staff is, so have we heard, or can you say what's happening to Canals Land Rover?
I have been told by Canals that, so they didn't get into the details of this, but the Land Rover Jaguar brand has struggled. They went in all in, Jaguar certainly did, on electric vehicles, and as a luxury vehicle, that they're not moving. And there's been other disruptions in their assembly lines, and there's been all kinds of issues, and they've struggled. And I think this is not exact, but let's say there's 150 Jaguar dealerships in America. They wanted it down to like 50. And so they went aggressively in the marketplace, and they wanted to pull back. And then they basically said, if you don't have a joint Land Rover Jag dealership, you're done for. So that was the situation we had in Lake Bluff. And then, the then owner closed its store. He had the same store in Wilmette, and he closed that store. He closed the one here, and ultimately sold the franchise to, thank you, Fields Group. And so they were going to couple the two together and bring it down to their Glenview location to reach their market that way. But the demand for service and desire for owners of Land Rovers to not travel very far for service, they said this make a good outlet satellite. And this is a one-off in America as far as we know. But it'll be branded, and like dealerships, we pray for bad winters, so people get in accidents, have to replace parts for their vehicles. Kidding, of course, but that's all retail, right? It's sales tax generated. the whole car dealership brotherhood, if you will, is there's so much esprit de corps. They talk all the time, they share. And so I think there was that arrangements were made, and then to backfill the Land Rover dealership on Canals, they're gonna bring down their Mercedes Sprinter, which is further up 41. They're gonna bring that in. And so that'll be a good fit for their facility, and already have Mercedes there, and it makes sense.
The one on 41 is not like Bluff, so we don't get any taxes.
That's correct. But we will.
Win-win.
It's a win-win. And maybe there'll be more in the future, but other properties and with dealerships, but it's I think that hopefully that answers your questions.
Sure does.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are we going to hear back from our helipad friends?
I don't know. We're still working, reaching out to AbbVie for their helipad that they have now, and we haven't heard no yet. So, and talking with another site in Highland Park, but it's a surprisingly small number of helipads, public and private, on the north side of the city. So,
It's not a surprise.
And anything on Stonebridge?
no, nothing. Block 3 is, I think, sold all but one unit. They're going to have COs in September.
The other half of the block?
Nothing to report on the other.
You know, when I was looking at the property, you got a nice brick wall with windows. If they put up that other unit, I forget his name, those people are gonna be looking in the windows of I mean, why would you spend $2.5 million to look into another, it's like ghetto living?
And still like Bluff. That's why.
I don't know, I wouldn't want it.
All right. Any other discussion or questions? Oh, how's the agenda look for May? Mr. Crowe?
Looks good. Potentially 2 items, I think.
All right. Thank you.
Still working on the modeling and the revisions of the R5. That's still in the works.
You don't need to rush it.
I got that idea.
All right. Agenda item number 8, motion to adjourn. Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, thank you very much.